Revelation 20. This is a short chapter, but there is a lot happening. We're gonna imprison Satan, release Satan, meet two guys with the craziest names ever, kill them, then go after Satan again. And remember, this is heaven. This also seems like a good time to go over the basics of end times theology. And I saw an angel coming down out of heaven, having the key to the abyss and holding in his hand a giant chain. He seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. He threw him into the abyss and locked and sealed it over him to keep him from deceiving the nations anymore until the 1,000 years were ended. After that, he must be set free for a short time. So we seized Satan, the dragon snake, and locked him up for 1,000 years, but after that, we'll let him out for a bit? Because what could possibly go wrong? I can't believe the parole board agreed to that. Why are we letting him go free? For what reason? We're not told. I guess the writers just needed the plot to move forward. And why was Satan placed in the abyss and not hell? Because if he's not in hell, it's kind of like putting him in a luxury condo, isn't it? Why not just kill him off? We know the answer. I mean, a hero can never kill off his enemy, or else there would be no story to tell. God needs Satan, and that's why Satan will never die. Every time a pastor says we need to defeat Satan, he's lying. Satan will never be defeated. We just need to tie him up for a few hours. What was Satan doing for 1,000 years? You know how there's no account of Jesus' life between birth and adulthood? Same deal here. I want to know how Satan spent his time. Did he read books? Did he earn his GED? Did he lead a gang and go after all the fresh fish who also got thrown into the abyss? I mean, where is that part of the Bible? Okay, sit down. This is a good time to go over a few important definitions. There are pre-millennialists who are Christians who believe after the tribulation, Jesus will reign for literally 1,000 years. Those are people who take this chapter literally. They think Jesus arrives pre or before the millennium. They don't think this has happened yet. Dispensational premillennialists don't set a specific date on Christ's return. It could happen anytime. Most likely after the world gets worse, which is why we talk about Armageddon anytime there's an outbreak of war. Dispensational premillennialists also believe that when Christ returns, the true believers will be raptured. But we don't know when it'll happen, so you just gotta be ready at any time. Only after the rapture occurs will the reign of the Antichrist take place. This idea has gained in popularity ever since an evangelical writer named Hal Lindsey published the book The Late Great Planet Earth in 1970. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, "Oh no, things are looking pretty awful right now. Therefore, the end times are near." And then, in 1980, he published The 1980s, Countdown to Armageddon, because everyone just forgot the first book existed. And this time, he wrote, "I'm not kidding you guys, the decade of the 1980s could very well be the last decade of history as we know it." That second line is not a paraphrase. He actually wrote that line while Jimmy freaking Carter was president. And then, in 1990, he published The Road to Holocaust, because why not? And then in 1999, he wrote Planet Earth, the final chapter. And in 2003, there was Faith for Earth's Final Hour. And just last year, he published My 5-Decade-Long Con Over the American People. I'm just kidding. He never apologized. And as I film this, he is still self-promoting his supposed prophecies. but Hal Lindsey's influence is huge. A 2017 poll by the Christian group Lifeway Research found that 80% of evangelicals believe Israel's creation in 1948 was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy that would lead to the return of Christ. So, just to summarize these beliefs, when you have the creation of Israel combined with the rebuilding of the temple, the third temple, that will bring about the second coming of Christ, at which point all the Jews will convert, which would sound horrible if anyone else said it. Yet evangelicals always seem to get a pass, and after the Jews convert, the 7-year tribulation will begin, with the Antichrist taking over. And that's bad, but then Christ will destroy the Antichrist at the Battle of Armageddon, and his 1,000-year reign of joy and bliss will begin. Totally normal stuff. Hal Lindsey isn't alone either in promoting this belief that the end is near. If you're not familiar with the Left Behind books, they are all about the people left behind after the rapture, who have to survive during those years when the Antichrist has taken over. Eventually, dispensational premillennialists believe, the raptured people and Jesus will all come back during the second coming to destroy the Antichrist, like the Avengers. That is a very real thing these people believe, and they vote. In short, the reason premillennialism became so popular with evangelical Christians over the last century or so is because the world kept getting worse, with world wars and nuclear bombs and, in their view, feminism and marriage equality. It's also a reason people like me think evangelicals are sometimes rooting for chaos. They are actively contributing to making the world a worse place because they believe this will hasten Christ's return. Anyway, are you still with me here? Because there are also post-millennialists. Those are Christians who believe the 1,000 years are symbolic, and that Jesus will return post, or after, a long time when pretty much everyone has converted to Christianity and the world keeps getting better and better. As we all know though, the world sucks, which is why very few Christians these days would describe themselves as post-millennialists. Then there are the amillennialists, who are Christians who believe we are currently living in the millennium, which is the long time between when Jesus lived and when he returns. He may be reigning over us right now. And look, these terms can also be broken down further. There are historic premillennialists, and perfect amillennialists, and imperfect amillennialists. Which one of those is correct? Obviously, the answer is none of them. This is all just trivia for a large book of fiction. It's Jeopardy for Vacation Bible School. But as with all popular works of fiction, the fans who take it seriously take it extremely seriously. All right, back to verse 4. Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I saw thrones on which were seated those who had been given authority to judge. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony about Jesus and because of the word of God. They had not worshipped the beast or its image and had not received its mark on their foreheads or their hands. They came to life and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy are those who share in the first resurrection. The second death has no power over them, but they will be priests of God and of Christ and will reign with him for 1,000 years. Everyone who got beheaded because they defended Jesus will come back to life and become kings for 1,000 years. Do they get their heads back? We are not told. But I feel like that's a very important detail. And what happens after the 1,000-year reign? Do they get re-murdered? And why does everyone else get to be resurrected after that? They didn't die for Jesus. They're just random dead people. They're supposed to remain dead. Or so I was led to believe. This is an interesting passage though, because we are at a weird point in Bible time when Satan is locked up but not destroyed, and the resurrection has started but isn't finished. Basically, there is a lot of shit happening in that 1000th year. Let's hear more about that. When the 1000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and to gather them for battle. In number, they are like the sand on the seashore. They marched across the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of God's people, the city he loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil, who deceived them, was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Still don't know why we think releasing Satan is a good idea. I mean, he just picked up where he left off. Now, back in the day, in Ezekiel 38, Gog was the name of the land run by Magog. Now, however, they're just treated like two dudes. But they're not. They're two tribes of people. Bad, bad people with really awful names. We're still doing the flat earth bit, by the way. And we're gonna gather the people of Gog and Magog in order to destroy them. What did they do? Who knows? Who cares? All we know is that there's a bunch of them. It didn't take much to defeat them, though. All it took was rain made out of fire, and then throwing Satan in a lake of sulfur, just like we did with the beast in the previous chapter. It says we will torment them forever, but knowing these people, they'll probably just release him in another 1000 years out of sheer boredom. Then I saw a great white throne, and him who was seated on it. The earth and the heavens fled from his presence, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they had done as recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them. And each person was judged according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. Anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire. So this is like another circle of hell. If you're not in God's inner circle, you are so screwed. Your permanent record is in a book somewhere, and even if you're currently in hell, God is gonna judge you again. And if God's not happy with you, you'll be thrown into a lake of fire, which I assume is worse than hell. But then what was going on in hell? Wasn't that a pool of fire? I thought everything in hell was fire. How do you throw death and Hades into fire? Seems like that would be their natural element. I would love to know, who are the people sent to hell, but who then avoided hell number 2? I didn't realize you get a chance at redemption in hell. And if you can save yourself like that, why should I avoid sin in this life? All these people seem to be okay despite 1000-year prison sentences. So it seems like the moral of the story is to be as immoral as you want right now, then attempt a deathbed conversion, and if it doesn't work, well, don't worry. You'll get another chance, eventually. Did you see the dead will be judged according to what they had done? Sure sounds like our deeds, not our faith, make all the difference, contrary to what many Christian pastors will tell you. This version of the afterlife is not one pastors talk much about, because it seems to undercut how they want you to live your life now. But it sounds like your options are heaven or hell, but if you're in hell, your options are hell number 2, which is actual death, Or immortality, I guess? But immortality sounds like you have to hang out with God all the time and rule over whatever is left of the universe with him, and that seems miserable. So I think the best path is to lead a sinful life, go to hell, wait around a bit, and then just call it a day and disappear. That is the moral of the Bible. Thanks, Jesus!